I'm often asked, who should I hire first? A salesperson, a director of operations, an assistant? Who should I hire first? In my experience, I found that there's actually a different question that's a lot more productive to ask. And the question is, how do we protect your time? You as the entrepreneur are the most valuable person on your team. We need your time, your energy, your attention to be protected as much as possible. Now here's the thing. If you have enough sales calls that you could afford to bring on a salesperson, they could help protect your time so you're not doing sales calls all day. Likewise, you could also hire an assistant or an ops manager. All of these people could take work off your plate and protect your time, energy, and attention. Here's the thing though. Of those three different roles, an executive assistant, an ops manager, and a salesperson, one of those three is vastly faster to find, hire, onboard, and train, way less expensive, and can really move and shake with you as your business changes and as your life is changing much more quickly. And that person is your executive assistant. I actually got my first ever executive assistant when I made only $28,000 a year. I know that seems incredible. Now, I didn't have kids and I didn't have a wife, so I could afford to spend a lot more on my business a lot more quickly. But even today, I think if an entrepreneur is making six figures and they don't have an executive assistant, they are missing out big time. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs will say, well, I don't know if I can afford to get an assistant. And they start thinking about what they've got to pay, which is probably something like $25 per hour for a solid domestic right-hand assistant who can take over your inbox, calendar, and whatnot. If we're going to ask about costs though, it's really important then that we look at the whole picture. What are the costs if you get an assistant? Yes. However, what are the costs if you don't get an assistant? How many opportunities are you going to miss out on because you're stuck in your email inbox all day? How many customers that you currently have might you upset because you missed their email because you were too busy doing bills or paying off your credit card or something like that, where these are activities that your assistant could be helping you with? Opportunity cost oftentimes is one of the most painful and expensive costs of all. So what do? I think what's really, really smart is to do something called a delegation roadmap. Delegation roadmap is simply where you take a look at your day and you say, hey, what is it that's kind of like a $20-ish an hour type task that happens over and over again? It'd be relatively easy for me to teach. And you start taking inventory of those kinds of items. Then on the flip side, if you were to say have an extra 5 to 10 hours a week, what would you do with those extra 5 to 10 hours per week? Would you write a book? Would you go to your current clients and see if they want more services from you? Would you perhaps take a course or learn how to raise your rates or start a podcast? What would you do with that extra time? As soon as you see that there's this balance, that an extra 5 to 10 hours a week spent on marketing and sales and getting more customers, as soon as that can outweigh the amount of money that you would have to spend to get an assistant, it's a no-brainer. Now, on the flip side, if there is not a business case, if there is not a financial case for you to get an assistant, then you definitely don't want to be hiring an assistant or a salesperson who's way more expensive, or an ops manager who's also more expensive than an assistant. You probably want to just keep going in your business as a solopreneur until you do have a business case there. At the end of the day, the number one asset of your business is not your money, is not your skills, it's not your staff, it's not your clients, it's not even your reputation. All of those things actually can go away and you can get them back. The one asset that trumps all others is you. As long as you are in the game, you're healthy, you can think clearly, you can hold distractions at bay, then your business can go through pretty much anything and come back. So what do we got to do? We got to protect that number one asset. Yes, that means getting an EA when the time is right. It also means making sure that you're healthy, there isn't too much other stress in your life. And if there is, let's start addressing all those items first. And then after that, maybe think about getting an EA. And then after that, maybe down the road, another 6 months later, maybe you start thinking about an ops manager or someone else. You're the number one asset. And if you found this to be helpful, go to truthandmastery.com, which is my newsletter. I share great tips from the front line of being an entrepreneur. I've made millions in my career so far, and I've had the wonderful opportunity to be an entrepreneur for over 15 years now. truthandmastery.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.